Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another StarCastTV commentary done by yours truly, Flash for the win. Today we're going to be providing you a excellent best of 3 series between two pretty good players here. Free, here is the purple Protoss spawning in at the top left position on Eye of the Storm. Sorry, not Eye of the Storm, Empire of the Sun. These jungle tile sets are confusing me. And over here at the top right hand position as the Teal Terran is going to be Sorry. So a bit of background of these players. Free hasn't really shown the best performance or placements in these tournaments over the past couple of years. I don't even think that he's been able to qualify too frequently for some of these bigger tournaments. But everyone knows him from back in the Kespa era. He was a very solid Protoss player, very excellent. I think that he ended up getting into the round 4, I think, in a couple of tournaments. Or am I thinking about a different Protoss player? I know that Pure went up against Flash in the Ever OSL. I'm wondering if Free went up against Flash and I think maybe the Korean Air OSL, because I remember Flash having to go through a bunch of Protosses every time he got into the semifinals for a lot of these individual tournaments. But regardless, Free is an excellent individual player. He was, I believe, on Woonjin Stars, I want to say, back in the day. Was a very good Protoss player on that team, supporting the likes of Zero, Soulkey as the 2 top players over there. A very good player. And over here we have Sorry, someone who has been rising up in the ranks recently. Obviously, people know him for kind of popularizing the biomech build in TVZ. And he demonstrated some success with it in the last ASL. His TVP is also fairly solid, I think. Obviously, there are issues that I see with his play. Most notably that because he is more on that amateurish side, if he were to become pro, he needs to be a little better with decision making. Obviously, I think that there's a lot of cases to be made about these really good amateur players that just need a little bit more time to mature in their thought process and decision making. I think Soma is someone who I really criticize a lot for having some questionable decision making, but overall they're both very good players that show a lot of potential, and I'm very excited to see where they go in the future. So anyways, over here we have a very standard opener from both sides right now. We have the core coming out here from Free, factory coming out here from Sorry with one guy in the gas, so most likely going to be seeing either a bunker expand or some kind of fake double build. Now, Empire of the Sun, very interesting map. I would say that it plays most similarly to Fighting Spirits somewhat, with the base layouts at least. You've got your relatively safe natural expansion here with a relatively closed off choke, and then you've got the third bases that are on the low ground, and they're a little interesting to play compared to Fighting Spirit. Fighting Spirit is on the high ground, so once you secure the third expansion, it's a lot easier to defend, whereas on Empire here, you're going to have a lot more of a difficult time trying to make sure that your base is secure when threats are coming from above the from the high ground. And there's a lot more surface area you've definitely got to note in these areas. So as we see this SCV coming down here to this third base location, and again the ramp comes down here right behind these minerals. So a lot of time what will happen is you'll put siege tanks or turrets like right inside the mineral line. They'll be able to kind of ward away any threats. The middle is very, very open. A nice ramp setup here in the middle as you see this SCV pass over these ramps. And we'll have to see how well both players use these ramps as they push across the map. Now, I would say that this favors Terran slightly using these ramps, but I also think that because of how wide open the middle of the map is and how easily your army can get caught in the middle, that this map does slightly favor Protoss, I think, in this matchup. Also, drop play is very good here. You got 2 island expansions on this map, so Protoss definitely could use this to his advantage and potentially go into carriers later on in the game, play some kind of island defense. But anyways, looks like we're going to be going to standard fast expands from players. You can see the bunker expand going down here for Sorry. Next is being started here for Free. And we're just going to have to see what Free's next tech path is going to be. If he's going to go into... Oh no, he has already gotten these Templar Archives. And DTs are already being started here. We're going to see how well that these detection is going to come out here. Academy is almost done already, so that is good for Sorry. We're going to see if he does end up going for mines later, or if he's just going to be going for that siege tank in siege mode. I believe the goons picked off the SCV that was trying to come scouting here, but this DT is really what's all that matters right now in this game, and it is going to come down to the timing here of these comm stats. Is he going to be making an extra round of SCVs? No, immediately going to comm stat station here. Engineering bay also going up right afterwards, immediately. But it's going to come down to, let's see what he uses these scans for. I mean, the DT is already going to be inside the base. The scans are not done yet, and only halfway done. So his DT will get in. He will see that the DT is here. Yes, he does see the DTs are here now. The DT will immediately start picking off these SCVs. And here comes the tricky part. He doesn't want to burn scans on one DT because he's probably expecting a couple more DTs to follow up here. Now, that being said, on the other side of the map, you're seeing here that he has only built one DT. So this DT tech has pretty much been used, I would say, to really vault himself into a 2-base arbiter play. He's getting the second gas relatively quickly. But the spider mines now are out as well, which means he doesn't actually have to use many scans for these mines. And we're going to probably see a missile turret being placed here at the front very shortly. Yep, there it is. And we might see one also in the main base as well, in case he wants to try to shuttle these DTs into the main. But these vultures are just going to be scouting out the map, seeing when Protoss takes his third expansion. Pylon going up to stop these vultures from sneaking in, and we'll be able to place a couple spider mines here at the third base. But really what's going to come down to right now is going to see the timing of this initial Stargate from Free, because we do know that with this very, very fast second gas, it most likely will end up being some kind of very fast Arbiter attack. I don't see him going for a third base before Arbiter, or before Stargate. On the other side of the map, Sari is going to have to play very, very cautiously. He knows that the DT tech is out. He did end up losing one of the SCVs to it. Probe is actually already positioned here to, looks like, to take a third base. This spider mine I don't think is actually in range of blocking that nexus. So it looks like he is going to go into a third base. I suppose that the second gas is mainly used to catch up back in the gas count, knowing that he needed more gas to rebuild his early Dragoons that he did not build because of the DT tech. And also because he wanted to go into this very fast robotics facility right afterwards. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll skip the robo facility and they'll go straight into a Stargate instead. As you can see here, both players opting to just play more of a macro style. Sari's taking his third base, already building a preemptive missile turret here, laying a couple spider mines to block any Dragoons from coming through. And this is very smart. He just wants to make sure that he can secure this third before he actually starts building the command center down. It would be really a big waste if he starts building the command center and Protoss was somehow able to get in there and stop the command center from being built. Meanwhile, back at home here for Free, he is going to that Stargate tech now. So we will see the Arbiters coming out relatively soon. Forge as well to start building cannons here at this third base. Get pylon wall at the bottom of this ramp. Now I will say that when Terran does inevitably move out here, they will be very hard pressed to defend this top location as a Protoss player. Dragoon's going to try to come down here to the bottom of this ramp. It is very tricky here to come in with this minerals and these trees kind of blocking this choke point here. The Dragoons, though, were managed to get on top of this high ground position from the backside, picking off all the tanks. And this is what I said about trying to take this third base location without being able to set it up properly first. And that's it. GG from Sari. Wow, that game ended very anticlimactically right there. Did not expect this game to just immediately go down. And that will be game one going over to Free. Very quick game, gotta say. I thought that Sari had a little bit better position, but I suppose that, I mean, it is more difficult to take that third base on Empire than it is on something like Fighting Spirit because of how wide that open choke is going in between the natural and the third base, and I guess Free just abused that really well. Anyways, we're going to go to game number 2 here. Free up 1-0, spawning here at the 12 o'clock position on Neo Sylphid, as the blue Protoss is going to be Free. Which means that down here at the 5 o'clock position as the orange Terran, it's going to be Sari. So Neo Sylphid, a little bit easier to take a third base. I definitely do got to say that, you know, in Empire, you really will need to make sure that you have set up properly on that high ground position to make sure that you can't get double pincered like what Free just did. And I really expected that Sari would have a lot more siege tanks there. I guess he only made 2 and started going to pure vulture production. And when you take these third bases, you either really need a big minefield out at the front of both your bases, or you're going to need a lot of siege tanks to defend. And it seems like Sari got a little bit overconfident with how much he had to defend, that he kind of just didn't have enough. I mean, it really felt that his macro maybe slipped, I suppose. Maybe I didn't see the siege tanks on the high ground getting picked off, but I really felt that he needed a lot more siege tanks to take that third base location. But anyways, going in here to game number 2, Free opening up with the gateway inside the base, so we'll see if he does end up trying to go for zealot pressure on this game. Normally you would see this gateway a little bit more forward in those situations. A lot of times we'll see Prorus's actually end up going for something like a pylon at the front of their base with the gateway to really make sure that that zealot gets there very quickly. Gas also coming down now here from Free. I do expect him, this gas to me was a little late, so it could be a zealot opener here. Yeah, as you can see, normally the gas would be finished right about the same time as this gateway, so it could be a zealot opener. He did delay this by just a little bit. Meanwhile, Sari here going standard again, gas right after barracks, and then scouting right after his gas starts. As this will get a full scout of the main, we'll see the second pylon coming down. Very important is to know when the second pylon does end up coming down here. Prorus's, if they try to high-tech proxy something, that second pylon won't be inside the main base. So Terran usually likes getting the scouting before the first Dragoon pops out, make sure that they see where the second pylon and even third pylon is being placed. And it looks like no zealot here from Free. It looks like it's just a slightly later gas than what I usually go for, at least. But it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure that he's doing a proper build order, unlike me. I don't really usually go for proper build orders in my games. But Sari's going for the same thing here. One guy on gas, factory after barracks. See the Dragoon and the Singularity charge upgrade coming through for the Protoss. And the Marine coming out here at the front to make sure that he'll be able to block Free's scouting probe wherever it comes from. And it looks like Free is going to probably going for the 28 Nex based upon the fact that he has already exceeded 21 and 23. Normally that's when the other Nexus timings come down. Tricky third pylon placement here for Free. Definitely could see another maybe Citadel Templar Archives coming down here for him. Maybe even a hidden robotics facility coming out at the back of the base to make sure that he doesn't allow Sari to just see it if he were to place the tech more in the center of his base. Command center now going down for Sari. Because of this early SCV scout, he's actually allowed to do this. Normally you get the bunker first, but he knows where the first Dragoon is coming out from, so he actually can get this command center before bunker, and now he puts down the bunker. So pretty interesting. And also because he had that early SCV, he was able to drag this Dragoon all the way out to this top left-hand portion of the map. He knows that this Vulture here can get out into the middle of the map without being contested by these Dragoons, and the fact that Free doesn't have any scouting information, doesn't actually know if Sari has opted for this first Vulture. So he's got to be a little bit careful here, trying to defend his base. Now he does have this second Dragoon back at his base, and he is looking to scout out, see if there's another Vulture or SCV out here on the middle of the map. But he has not scouted this top third base location, and now he's just going to move his Dragoons over to harass the bunker. Machine Shop has been finished now, getting that mine upgrade. Vultures are being built here for Sari, and yep, going right into that siege tank. So we're going to see how much damage this Vulture can get. This is going to come down to critical timing here once these probes transfer over. And here comes that Vulture. Will he be able to dodge this Dragoon? There is one Dragoon coming out here. The fourth Dragoon going to be coming down. Yeah, he will see the Vulture. Vulture will get denied. Might lay down some Spider Mines just to pressure this Dragoon and stop this Dragoon from coming out here in the middle of the map. And yeah, Dragoon is being very hesitant. Does not want to leave the natural base. Leave his probes undefended. And the bunker is getting repaired here by these three SCVs. Nice mine placement here from Sari. If Free is trying to come across now with some more Dragoons, they will be met in the middle here with some Spider Mines and severely damage them. First tank does come out. And these mines, with these mines out, he'll know that there's no more Dragoons coming. So it's one tank versus three Dragoons, and it's a lot harder for the Dragoons to dive onto this tank with 3 shots, because it will take 3 volleys total to snipe this tank, compared to with 4 Dragoons, normally it would take him only 2 volleys. Sorry, now trying to come out here, just putting a little bit of pressure onto these Dragoons. Now they're going to try to dive onto the tank here. This is a little bit dangerous here for Free. One of the Dragoons will get picked off. Second Dragoon does get picked off. He does manage to snipe down that tank. in exchange for 3 Dragoons, basically. Managed to pick off a couple of these other units here from Sorry. And this Dragoon is just going to waddle right into the main base. Maybe get some scouting information. This would be nice here for free. Tank does come out. Does not end up seeing the armory timing. But it looks like free with that distraction with the Dragoons will be free to take his 3rd base without much contest. After all, the Vultures were ended up getting picked off. And the initial tank as well was picked off. So he knows that Sorry doesn't have much of a force that can even pressure this 3rd base. So taking this 3rd base now at a very fast timing is going to be not met with much resistance from the Terran. In the meantime, Sorry is now grabbing his 2nd factory, engineering bay as well. And both players have more or less settled into a fairly standard game. Free definitely, I would say, is slightly ahead. I think that losing that initial tank is much more devastating to the Terran player than even losing 3 Dragoons for free. Yes, it does weaken Free's ability to go for some kind of bust, but Free's game plan here has been to take this 3rd base very quickly. Doesn't really care about a potential bust at all. In fact, that he hasn't even gone for any kind of robotic support bay to get shuttle speed. Hasn't even built a shuttle yet, so it's very clear from Free's game plan that he just wanted to make sure that the Terran couldn't just start putting a lot of pressure down onto the map, wanting to get rid of that early siege tank. And we can see your starport coming down for our Terran players. So it looks like it is going to be a very stock standard 2-1 timing push from our Terran. Everything lines up nicely. Starport was started at the same time as that +1 was halfway done. And we'll see if Sorry is going to end up going for that 3rd base. Will he take this high ground 3rd base position, or will we go for that mineral only? Something that is important to note, these high ground 3rd base locations do have less minerals and gas compared to the low ground expansions, which means that it is easier to mine out. That will play out into the longer game portion. We do see that there is the Stargate and the Templar Archives coming out for free, so his Arbor Tech is coming along the way. Does actually end up having a shuttle here, so potentially could be going for a bust. I think he realizes that because this is more of a 2-base timing, that killing off this initial push from the Terran is going to be all that matters for him at the end of the day. So wants to bolster his forces with a shuttle and a couple of zealots in here to shuttle bomb these tanks. He does see also that there are double machine shops here for Terran with these 3 factories, means that more likely than not it is going to be a much more tank focused composition. Now, although Sorry is building Vultures right now out of these machine shop factories, I do expect him to start slowly producing tanks again. He is trying to get a dropship for himself, does have the science facility up, so could be saving up some more gas to get into this 2-1 timing and get a science vessel out as well. Arbor Tribunal is on the way for the Protoss, and we can see here that these Dragoons are just clearing the map for any kind of spider mines, and I guess the shuttle is mainly here to stop the Terran from taking a 3rd base. He knows that Terran's macro here is not more geared for a late game macro, it's more or less geared towards something more of a 2-base 2-1 timing. Command center is coming out now, and he is going to be end up trying to take this top high ground 3rd base location, and that means that he's going to have to make sure that this first push that he does is going to be much more effective. Remember that these bases down here have the full 1500 minerals, where these mineral patches up here only have 1000 each, so it's a lot easier to think, oh, I've got this 3rd base gas as well. I mean, this is a really nice, easily defended location here on the high ground as Terran. But he's got to make sure that he makes a very clear effort to expand further after this, because if he does not expand past this 3rd base and he says, I'm going to be fine on these 3 bases, well, he's going to mine out really quickly, and he's going to be put into a situation, a very uncomfortable position, where he's looking to get another base, whereas Protoss is already out on the map taking more bases. Now, he does see that Free has taken this 4th base location here at this 10 o'clock position. Dropship with some Vultures coming into the main, getting a couple of probe kills, but these Dragoons looks like they will be able to clean out most of this dropship, only getting a couple of probe kills, so nothing too significant. Here comes that bust here. The Zealots are coming in here right on top of these siege tanks. Siege tanks are sieged up precariously right here. We'll see. They will start targeting down these Dragoons. Very nicely done. The one Zealot does remain over right now, and these Dragoons are able to get on top of these tanks. And a lot of these siege tanks have fallen right now. This is really bad here for Sorry. This tank count will get reset essentially. Dragoons now going to be easily falling back to pull back away from the siege tanks. As we can see here, only 3 siege tanks are left over here for this Terran force. Now he will be able to take this third base high ground location because Free ended up trading a lot of this army over there. But unfortunately for him, all these Zealots are so badly damaged. Yeah, all these are very bad damaged Zealots. But because he managed to reset this tank count, it means that whatever push Sorry has had now is going to end up being more of a 3-2 timing rather than a 2-1 timing. So we're going to have to play a much more Turtle Terran style now. Rebuild that tank count. Again, he does have 2 machine shops early on, so his tank replenishing will be pretty quick. Wow, Sorry's actually up to 72 SCVs. Very high SCV count here. Free is sitting pretty comfortable here at 67 probes instead. Will be probably looking to take this high ground 12 o'clock position for himself soon. First Arbiter is out. And +1 attack upgrade for these Protoss units will also be on the way. Recall as well being started here, so it looks like we will see Recall first. SCV position here at the 6 o'clock position, so it looks like we're just going to go into more of a macro game. Free, as you can see, taking more and more of these bases, and it's interesting to see what kind of a style that he has for taking these expansions. He's ignoring these high ground expansions here that have less minerals. Because I've got to say, I think taking this mineral only base is much harder to defend compared to this high ground third base location, especially when you've already taken this high ground 11 o'clock position with the gas here, that it's a lot easier to take this base instead. But I think from Free's position, he's saying that I don't need to take any more gas bases because 3 gas normally is sufficient to sustain any kind of Arbiter plus Dragoon plus some upgrades. And that means that taking this space instead here means that if I can mine out more of this left side of the map here, this main, this natural, even potentially get up to this inside 9 o'clock position to mine this out, that when the map gets mined out, I'll still have a mining base here left over, even if it's depleted minerals here at 1,000 only, that when the Terran mines out this base very quickly, as you can see, it's already 1/3 of the way mined out, that when he takes his naturally positioned 5th base here and potentially this inside 9 o'clock, that he'll be mined out much faster than I will, and I'll have more minerals left on the map. So we will have to see how well that strategy plays out. If this game goes for much longer, it goes into a very late game situations. Recall has been finished, Stasis Field is being started right now, and we'll see how many Arbiters that he has. Actually, the recall gonna come in here. Only a few missile turrets here. No spider mines to delay this recall. A big recall coming in here. A couple of these siege tanks immediately get picked off here. A nice D matrix on the siege tank, picking off the armory. The armory is not gonna be able to finish that +3 attack upgrade. This is a tremendous snipe here from these Dragoons. Will these Dragoons be able to snipe off quite a few of these SCVs? Yes, they will. And these Zealots are trying to delay a lot of time here for these Dragoons to wreak havoc at the back of the base right now. We'll see if he's able to pick out this machine shop, trying to start that Goliath +1 range upgrade. Now, it's not the most, I would say, necessary upgrade. A lot of these tanks coming out here. Will he be able to pick up the science vessel? Yes, he does. Some good damage coming here from this recall. Most importantly, was picking up that armory. It would have been nice to see if he picked up that machine shop that he could see was researching some upgrade right there, but doesn't really mean too much at the end of the day. Picking off that vessel, picking off a few of those tanks, that armory was really ultimately what mattered. He's trying to set up this armory once again so he actually can hit that 3-3 timing instead. Because after this armor upgrade finishes, he'll be at 2-2. But Free has done a tremendous job, a really good recall there, resetting a lot of supply here from Sorry. As you can see, the macro is just slipping for Sorry. He really needs to get more factories out. And I've seen this in a couple of his other games, that he'll only be on these like 7 factories, I would say. He tends to make so many SCVs, and it doesn't really make many factories to supplement how much income he's going to have here. Meanwhile, coming in for a big break. No Arbiters just yet with this army, but again, he's going to get right on top of these naked siege tanks right here. The Zealots are going to get immediately right on top of them, and this will be a tremendous blow again to Sorry. These tanks will end up falling here. I really don't see how he's going to be able to defend much more than this. His tank count, once again, going to get reset. He might even suffer some damage here to this mineral only 6 o'clock position. His position is getting completely overrun right now, and Protoss on the other side of the map has taken all of these left-hand side bases. I mean, we're probably going to see him take this natural base soon as well. And at this point of the game, Sari is just falling apart bit by bit. We're going to see if there's going to be another recall coming out here from Free, but his macro is insane. 11 Dragoons, wow, and he's still got 2k in the bank right here. Definitely needs to make a couple more gateways over there at that secondary main position. But we can see here another recall looks like he's going to try to come in here from this Arbiter. We'll see if he's going to position here onto the third base, or he's going to try to fly into the main. A lot of turrets here in the main, so he might just recall onto this third base. No, he's just going to fly away, look for a different position to recall. Sari has used up a lot of his resources here to try to defend against these recalls, but at the same time, again, sitting on this 7 factory production, I don't really see how he's going to be able to re-macro his way into the game. It's really going to take a lot of mistakes here from Free for Sari to ever come back. I mean, we can see the supply discrepancy right now. 50 supply up is Free, so it's going to take him a lot of mistakes for Sari to really catch up. A 5th base trying to be started here for Sari with this command center being built at the low ground position. Some mine clearing going on for Free to take more of this map control. But again, I mean, he's got the entire map right now. He's sitting on 6 bases compared to 4 bases of Terran. Terran has had his tank recount reset over and over again. As you see, is much more looking like a tornado Terran style. EMP coming down, does hit both the arbors, so a very good EMP. But again, crashing down in here are these zealots, are these units here. Science vessel once again going down here. The tanks are once again getting picked up by these dragoons, and once these tanks fall again, I mean, if we look at the tank count here, only 4 tanks really to defend this base. And again, all Free has to do is pull back right now. He's done the damage he needed to do, continuously pick off these siege tanks, and he's just going to continue to wait for Sari to try to take his 5th base, and he's going to deny this 5th base for almost forever. At the same time, he'll be able to take this natural base, this 3 o'clock position, and then slowly start to take these inside bases here. Whereas, as we can see here from Sari, his main is running dry. Main's about to completely mine out. His natural will mine out probably in the next minute or so, and this base over here, this 3 o'clock, is going to mine out in the next 2 to 3 minutes. So he'll be left overly on this mineral only base, whereas Free, I mean, he is mined out at his main and natural as well, just about, but his third base, because again, he took this third instead of a high ground. Look at these minerals patches, 500 minerals on these will not be mined out for quite a bit. This 4th base will still be mining, and his left hand side bases will also be mining. So Sari is in just a terrible position right now. He does not have the siege tank count he needs to defend or push out, so he's left in this almost limbo position where he just got to continue slowly inching out so painfully to try to take this 5th base and reestablish himself some kind of an economy. But at the same time, if he moves most of his army over here to defend his 5th base location, that means he's left vulnerable to potential recalls coming in here from Free. Free not even going into into psionic storms here for his High Templar, and that really will be the nail in the coffin once he gets a couple of these storms out from these High Templar. As you can see here, the natural now being taken for Free, and he's just completely asserted himself out on the map. Sari was trying to play this very turtle split map position, but it really didn't work out for him. Like, he doesn't have the macro to support this. Now finally he's up to 9 factories, but even on these 5 bases is not what we want for 9 factories. You want 11 factories, you know, something like 3 to 4 machine shop factories, and then something like 8 machine shops producing Goliaths and Vultures. But I suppose that is not really what Sari was going for. He was trying to go for a much more slower macro style here. Here comes the big break. A lot of zealots come in here. Not many spider mines here to stop these zealots from crashing on to the army. The EMP is late. One stasis goes down on 2 of these tanks. A nice storm here, zoning a lot of these units, heavily damaging them. A beautiful stasis means these siege tanks will be blocked off behind the stasis fields. The zealots are going to get on top of these siege tanks. Big bug drags into these siege tanks. More tanks going down right now. Not the greatest attack here from Free, but these storms are softening up these tanks very hard. And once again, these siege tanks are just going to completely reset here. Looks like 6 tanks are left over. 7 tanks with 3 more reinforcing. But these tanks will end up falling. Free, I mean, again, he can just, you know, take these losses and not really care about them too much. because he's got so much of an economy behind this right now, and we'll probably look to see him take that natural base soon and even these inside bases soon as well. He is mining out the map, and it really looks like Sorry, even if he's able to start pushing out here, when he loses his army, how is he going to replenish them if he doesn't take more of these bases? I mean, at this point, I really feel that Sorry must take this high ground 9 o'clock position and this 3 o'clock position in order to establish himself some economy. Otherwise, Free is just, again, like I said, going to run away with this game in terms of the economy. 3-3 has finished for Mech. Meanwhile, Free on the other side has finished up 3-1 on his unit. So both sides being fairly well upgraded. Here come the Zealots, going to try to do Mind Drag. A good Mind Drag here onto those Vultures. A big stasis here onto these tanks. A 5er stasis right there. And now these Zealots are just going to walk right by those stasis tanks. Get on top here. Not many Vultures here to supplement this army to pick off these Zealots. The Dragoons are going to get on top of these siege tanks as well. Finally, Vultures here to reinforce this army. But once again, even though he is trading inefficiently, Free has the economy to supply to replenish his army. 7 gateways over here at his secondary main, and we've got about, well, actually not that many gateways here, only 9 gateways at his main base. So he's only really sitting on about 16 gateways. Not really the best. Normally you would see the Protoss player going for something more like 30 gateways with something about, 15, 16 at each location to replenish his army almost instantaneously. But Sorry is doing exactly what he needs to do. He is continuously slowly inching his way across the map. He will try to pick off these left-hand bases here from Free. But this also means that because all of his army is over here at this left-hand side location, that now Free is going to look to take the right-hand side of the map. Now grabbing this 3 o'clock position, his army over here is going to position himself to maybe potentially attack this 3rd base location, although it is mined out, so it doesn't matter. But mostly this is just to gain more space. If you can pick out the vision here from Sorry, it makes Sorry into a much more dangerous and nervous situation to say, where is Free's army going to be? Now, he does have a nice blockade here with these supply depots and a couple of these SCVs. I don't think this is the best attack here from Sorry. Probably should pull back here. These Dragoons are just getting absolutely funneled into this choke point, and Sorry was able to bring his units back very quickly here. But Sorry is doing a pretty good job of re-establishing himself into this game. Again, I have a lot of issues with the fact that he's still sitting only on these 9 factories, but he's he's getting by with what he has. Again, supply, I mean, he hasn't maxed out once yet this game, and you would think as a Terran player with 70 SCVs and on the 6 base economy, I mean, he would be expected to hit max out at this point. So we're going to see here, oh, big recall coming in here actually to this 5th base location. I did not see this happening. Really big recall. This command center will go down. This is actually very big. This is a very important expansion that Sorry had to have held here. And this means that now his economy is even more tattered. He's mining effectively only off of 2 bases right now, off this mineral only base as well as his inside 3 o'clock position. Now, it is going to be hard to get these units out here from Free to do any more damage, I would say. Siege tanks will be able to effectively corral these Dragoons in, but he ended up managing to lose quite a few of those SCVs. Big army pushing in here because he needs to establish these bases for himself. And this is the power of the split map Terran, is that once you get split map position, it's a lot easier for you to take these bases because pushing into the Protoss is much easier to do. Wow, huge army here. Big EMP though, taking out the shields of pretty much every single Protoss unit at this location. But now the Protoss, because Terran has moved off so much of his army here to attack this base, huge recall going right on top of the Terran army right now. All these siege tanks completely out of position here. Meanwhile, the Protoss units are also pushing out up top to this inside 9 o'clock position. Will this be the break that Free needed? No, all the tanks, all the units ended up getting picked off here. It was his EMP units that were recalled, so they were effectively at half HP. And now he's fallen behind by 30 supply. That recall, while a good attempt, did not do exactly what he needed to do. Looks like Free's army is just completely melted away right now. Where is his gas count? His gas count's completely dwindled. I don't know where his economy went. It seemed that he was in such a good position, but now, Sorry, with the split map, has taken back most of the map here, even picking off this mineral-only base, and now Free is the one in trouble here. He's mined out at his main, his natural, and his 3rd base. He is only mining off of essentially 2 bases now. I mean, this base will still be mining just for about a minute longer, I would say, but it is not enough. Free has potentially thrown this game, actually. After all, Sari now is the one taking these left-hand bases. He's already got a command center position here to take this natural base. He'll probably be setting up another command center over here to take this main base, and then he can reestablish himself at this his previous 7 o'clock position. And that means that Free is now only going to be able to mine from 1, 2, 3 bases once he establishes himself at the 12 o'clock position here. So really devastating is this position here from Sari. Now he probably will stay on these 9 factories, I gotta say, but he is looking much better in this position than before. I think Free has got a significant bank here to work off of, but most of the bank isn't minerals, which means that his army is going to be very primarily based in the Zealots. And as we've seen so far, Sari has done an excellent job of picking off the Zealots, using his vultures and mines to full effect. And now he's going to try to come in here to this big spider mine and tank siege position. These stasis fields are not the best. Normally you want to stasis the units behind, not the ones in front, because when you stasis the units in front, it creates a choke point that your own Protoss units cannot get through. As you can see here, these mines are doing significant damage. The Zealots are going to try to get on top of these siege tanks here. Does get a couple of nice shots there. One vessel does go down, but all the Zealots have melted right now. Not a whole lot of tanks here to defend this position. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Sari has finally secured himself this natural expansion. He will take this main base soon, and Free is trying to find any kind of counterplay that he can here inside the middle of the map, whereas Sari is just in a nice position here. He doesn't need to really attack this army. Big MPs coming down. He did not manage to land onto these arbors. Nice stasis here. Is this the opening that Free needed here to get back on into this game? A lot of the units here from Sari are positioned elsewhere on the map trying to defend his other bases right now, and he needs to bring them back home. And now it looks like the Zealots are corralling these siege tanks. The siege tanks are trying to micro themselves away, waiting for some more vulture harassment, but these Zealots are so well upgraded that they are taking a beating before they end up going down. All these siege tanks are going to fall as well. The stasis filled units are also gonna get picked off by these Dragoons. Free, it looks like the bank is finally coming into effect here, whereas Sari does not have a significant bank either. Now trying to take back that 7 o'clock position. This middle only here is about to get mined out. So now Sari is the one once again back onto this 2-base economy. This high ground, as I said, they mine out very quickly, already over halfway mined out, and Free's bank is really what's carrying him right now. He's continuously able to re-macro these Zealots out. Even though he can't really remake Dragoons, Zealots are fine in these late game situations. Has he remade more gateways at his base? Yeah, he has added a couple more gateways back home to help him remax his army. And it looks like Free is just going to sit on these 2 bases right now. Not even that many probes here at this 3 o'clock position, but his bank is what's going to carry him. He is starting to run dry though. His bank is starting to dwindle down a little bit. So these next few attacks cannot be that inefficient for him. He's going to try to clear out these turrets and mines here so that he can find his avenue. He's got a big avenue of attack right through, slicing through the middle of the map, right into that 7 o'clock position right now. The stasis goes down, these siege tanks come out of stasis, but more Zealots are just going to continue to rain down onto these siege tanks. Has Free done it? Has he turned back the tide of this game where he was down to 30 supply at one point? The stasis just continuously non-stop, and without these science vessels that Sari ended up losing, that these stasis fields are just going to continue to come down onto the army and really limit how much supply that Sari actually has. See, I mean, he's sitting at 120 supply right now, but really he lost 10 supply right there at that one stasis, so he's sitting at almost 100 supply right now compared to Free's 178. Free is actually only sitting on 31 probes, so this supply count is actually very disingenuous, I've got to say. 76 supply with only 31 probes means that is 150 supply worth of army, 131 supply with 60 SCVs, which means that his army is actually only at 70 supply. So perhaps Sari has killed off too many of Free's probes, actually. That Free has now freed up so much supply for units, whereas Sari, on the other side, has still too much of a supply in SCVs. And here comes potentially the final fight of this game, it looks like. These Zealot Dragoons are continuously to push forward into the base. He has finally done it. He has broken through the Terran defense line. Terran needs to set up siege tanks back here inside the main base, but the rally point is not good. It's rallied still into the natural. Finally, the siege tanks coming out here. Is there another stasis field? No, the Arbor is not at full energy yet. But once these Dragoons are able to push here into this base, the siege tanks are finally starting to fall. There's not enough units here from Sari to defend against this push that is continuously to come back. There's the GG. Wow, what an incredible game there from both of these players. You have to think that this was another throw here from Sari, just not able to hold off into that big push through the middle of the map. And, you know, I think that that is what is an issue here for some of these amateur players. You see that Sari is able to get himself into a good position. He picked off the 2 bases here, 3 bases actually, all on the left side of the map, which is exactly what he needed to do. And then all he needed to do was establish these bases for himself, and he was in a fine position to split the map. But he was unable to hold on for much longer. His tank count had continued to dwindle, and I suppose that Free felt that he was in control of the game solely because that tank count just was not high enough. What a fantastic series, I've got to say. Free taking this series 2-0. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. My name is Flash of the Win. We'll see you guys in the next StarCastTV commentary. Take care. Bye-bye.